Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Crash, and I am going to go on vacations. Or, to be more specific, when you're watching this, I should already be on vacations. So I decided to do a couple of tier lists, probably just two of them, so I can have some videos to upload during those times that I'm not going to be at home. And I've asked some people some ideas on Twitter, and this one is not one of them. I actually came up with this idea, not necessarily by myself, but someone suggested that I do a tier list of places that I like to visit, and that reminded me of doing a list where I'd rank the best places in manga to go on vacations. So one of the things that I see a lot of people ask a lot of times is, what's your favorite place in manga or in anime or in games to live in? And it's kind of always a difficult thing to answer, because when I think about all these worlds, I honestly would not like to live in most of them, because they were made to have some big problem that needs to be resolved most of the times. So me, as I am, going to those worlds would most likely mean I was going to die within 20 minutes. So honestly, I think most of these worlds are gonna go into the bottom tiers, but we will see. So basically, yes, this is these worlds as vacation spots. If I'm gonna rank them from S to D, as to whether I'd like to live in or not live, I'd like to spend some days or weeks in that world. And we're gonna start with Gravity Boys, or a Jumbro. And honestly, I think this is one of the best worlds to live in. There's actually not really too much of things trying to kill you. You have those little cute creatures living there, which is nice. I'm not sure if we would have the technology that the Gravity Boys would do, as I'm thinking of these vacations as I am, not with superpowers, which is gonna put a lot of these down some spots. But I think, honestly, this is just kind of like a nice forest, a nice different world without too much trying to kill you. So I'm just gonna put it on A. I don't think it's an S tier. I'm not sure if any of them are gonna be an S tier, but I don't think it's an S tier just because, you know, there's not too much to do. There's not other people to talk to, unless we count the 4 Gravity Boys, which I would love to hang out with them, and the other 4 that joined them later. Okay, so I just added a tier, which is the F tier, just because I think since there's gonna be a couple of them in the lower level, I kind of want to have 2 or 3 bad tiers, just for them, because after Gravity Boys, we're going to be talking about Berserk, and the world of Berserk is kind of this medieval world, but it is filled with demons, and everyone is dying all the time, and there's honestly tons of ways of being crushed to death. And on the top of my head, it's been a while since I've read Berserk, besides the early parts that I've been reading with the deluxe editions. It's been a while since I've read like the later parts of it, but I don't really remember any like nice place in that world. Everything is filled with death, honestly, and even like the places that are nice are filled with monsters and things like that, and curses and demons. So I would not, I mean, even for a week, even for like 2 days, I'm not sure I would like to be in in the world that Guts is in. So I think I want to put it on D, not on F, just because I think there is still some beauty to the world. I'm not sure if I was going to be able to see it, because I would die, but there is some parts of it. I think it's similar with Biomiga, which is by Nihei. Now, I never read Blame, which I think it's Nihei's most well-known manga, that in Knights of Sidonia, which I also have not read. But for the most part, I mean, I've read Biomega, which is the one I choose to represent him and his art style, and Habara. And I really don't like any of them. But one thing that I do enjoy is the very Giger influenced world designs. And I love Giger. I'd like to visit the world for a little bit, just because I think the architecture of it is just so interesting. Again, because it's based on Giger, which I always loved, because I watched Alien since I was a little kid, and I love Alien. I still love Alien, so I would like to visit. Not for long, because I think I don't really remember, but I think this is another world where pretty much everything would kill you. But I definitely am more interested in visiting the world of Biomega more than the world of Berserk. I'm gonna put it on a C. Then we have Black Clover. Again, we're considering that I would not have any powers, yet I still think it is kind of a nice world. It's a bit of the Berserk world without, all the death. Well, there's still some death. There's still some like creatures going around killing people, because this is a battle shonen, and again, they need to have demons or whatever. They need to have some kind of conflict. But for the most part, I think Black Clover can be and probably has a lot of like nicer places to visit and nicer places to be in. So yeah, this is definitely a good alternative to Berserk if you want to visit a world that is kind of like it. It's kind of like this medieval world, with magic and stuff. Black Clover is probably a good option. I'm gonna put it on B. Then we got Bleach. Bleach has a couple of different places, right? We got Soul Society, we got Wekamundo, and I have no idea where the last arc is in. I'm sure the place has a name. I don't remember it. The problem here is, Bleach's design choice, I'm just gonna call it that, of not having a lot of backgrounds. It's not something that I mind too much, but when thinking of like, would I like to be in those places and living, or not living, but spending some vacations in those places, I don't know. It never appealed too much to me. I mean, Wekamundo always felt a little bit empty, a little bit sad, a little bit dark. I mean, I feel like that's kind of what it was supposed to feel. Soul Society was a bit different. Society, we got, a feeling of at least a city in it, which is a bit better. I think I would like to visit Soul Society, in all honesty. I'm gonna put it B, below Black Clover, but I think it would be a fun place to go to for a couple of days. My Hero Academia, which is kind of like this normal world where everyone has powers. It still looks kind of interesting. I mean, depending on when we're gonna go there. If you're reading the manga right now, I wouldn't like to be in that world right now. If it was more like at the beginning of the series, then I'd be a little bit more interested in. It might be fun to see, like, interact with these people, see, them using their powers and things like that. I think would be fun, would be interesting. I just don't remember like any place that in My Hero Academia that I was like, I really want to go there. Most of it feels very much like our normal world. So I'm gonna put it on C. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on C. Then Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is definitely a world where everything is trying to kill you. Like, there's devils pretty much everywhere, and I think people die in pretty much every single chapter of Chainsaw Man. So even though I love Chainsaw Man, this is gonna go straight in the F tier, because like, at least Berserk has a different world, or at least a different time that I can experience something different. Chainsaw Man, I would just be kind of experiencing the same world, except there's no Nazis or AIDS, but there are demons or devils that are trying to kill everyone, so no thanks. Doro is a very interesting one. It's a world where I'm not sure if I wanted to be in, at least when I think of like the whole, which is a world, the main place where most of the takes place, where the humans live. But there are a couple layers to that world. There's, or to be more specific, there are another worlds beside the whole. There's the worlds of the sorcerers. There are the worlds of the devils, which look very interesting to visit. Even Whole looks a little bit interesting to visit, but I feel like it's interesting, but it is like it has the feeling of that bad neighborhood of your city. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm not 100% sure if I'd like to be on Whole for a long time. But I'd like to visit the other two. I really would. And I would enough to put it on C. I kind of want to put it above Biomega, because it's kind of just because I love Dororo a lot, and I really like the way the world is constructed. Then maybe I could meet Ma and Nikaido, so that would be cool. Dr. Stone is our world, but I put it here because it at the same time really isn't. It's so further down the future that it pretty much is another world. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of, Gravity Boys, where it's very much kind of like just the forests and, just the natural environments of, in this case, of our world. And I'd be very interested in visiting that. I'd be very interested in seeing our world without the influence of humans. So I am gonna put Dr. Stone on A tier as well, above Gravity Boys, and I think it will be out of those so far, it will be my favorite place to visit. I haven't read all of Gintama, I've only read the beginning of Gintama, so it is again our world, but aliens have invaded us, and I assume we kind of can visit the other aliens' worlds, right? I don't think we have so far where I'm at the story, and I'm not sure if that happens. The story, at least so far, seems very focused on hurt, even though there's the aliens there, and we get to see their influence in the world. It doesn't really feel like it wants to go visit other planets and things like that, and to become a bit more of a sci-fi story. At least so far. I'm trying to not get heavy spoilers on Gintama. It is our world, but with a bit, with censorship and aliens that are trying to rule us, so it's not really that pleasant. So I'm gonna put it on D, above Berserk, because and then Fist of North Star, which I think is very influenced on Mad Max. I never actually seen Mad Max, but this is just what I've heard. The world, to me, it reminds me a lot of the Fallout world, which that post-apocalyptic, everything is desert. Then you have in the middle of the desert, like kind of like remnants of cities where people live in. It is not the most pleasant places to be, especially because a lot of these places are kind of being like enslaved by people. So I feel like if I was dropped into the world of Fist of North Star, unless I was dropped like near Kenshiro, I would be someone's bitch in like 2 seconds. Where'd I put it? I think I'd put it on D, below Berserk. It's still a bit different. I like visiting the world of Fallout. So I think the world of Fist of North Star would have some interesting elements, will have some interesting places to visit. Yeah, I just don't like being someone's bitch. That is mostly it. And then we have JoJo's Part 40. So pretty much every JoJo takes place in a real place. You know, Part 1 in Britain? I don't know. I don't know where Part 1 and Part 2 take place. But Part 3 is on Egypt. And, you know, Part 4 technically is on Japan. Part 5 is on Italy. I haven't seen the rest of the parts, so I can't judge them. But Part 4 takes place in a specific city of Japan that I don't think exists, which is called Mario. So this is more of a, would I like to be in Mario? And I would like to spend some days in Mario. You know, there is some risk of being killed by a stand user, but I think for the most part it's going to be a Pacific city, and it's going to be on Japan. And I would love to visit Japan, so honestly, it's probably one of the best places here to visit, I think. So I'm just gonna drop it. Top of A. It's not S tier because you may be killed by a stand user, but it's very close to an S tier, just because it is Japan. And then we have Kanata no Astra. I think that's how the name is pronounced. But Astra Lost in Space to give you the English title. And this is a very fun sci-fi where they get to visit, I think it's 6 different worlds, if I remember. And sure, some of them do have some mild risk of death, but a bunch of teenagers do get to visit them all, and they get to survive. So, you know, honestly, they don't really have any powers. They're just teenagers, just like middle high school students, I think. You know, and since they are just high school students and they survive, and a lot of these places are really interesting. There's a world that is just a beach, I think. I would really love to go into all these worlds as a vacation. I think, honestly, out of these, all that we've seen so far, this is the most appealing one. This is the one that I like to go with, you know, with the guys, or not necessarily with the guys that I go with myself, but this to me is the S tier, the best vacation spot. And then we have Kingdom Hearts, which I put here because I've read the manga. I think I've read 2 manga of Kingdom Hearts, so I am allowed. And basically, Kingdom Hearts is Disney worlds. You probably know this. It's just a lot of the Disney worlds, and I honestly think that the way that they're presented in Kingdom Hearts, mostly the games, I've played the first and the second game, and actually I've played more, but the first and second ones are the ones that I finished. They look really appealing. I would, you know, they're small. They feel like kind of like a block of space in a void. But for most of them, they're really interesting. I would like to explore most of them because they're Disney, honestly. And I grew up with Disney, and Disney is very magical. And, you know, people like to go to Disney World and Disneyland, so this is kind of like the next level of that. So this goes into A. I don't want to give it an S tier, do I? I mean, it's Disney. It is Disney. I mean, it's kind of cheating, but I'll put it there. I mean, Mashal, the next one, is Harry Potter, so it's Would I like to go on vacations in the world of Mashal? I mean, most of what we've seen was the castle. Castle reminds me a lot of Harry Potter. I wouldn't mind visiting Hogwarts, so I wouldn't mind visiting Mashal's world. I think it would be a place that I'd like to visit, and I don't think I mean, they probably would kick me out because I don't have magic powers, but just assuming that they wouldn't. There's not really much of a death threat unless you're Mashal or Mash, I mean, itself. So yeah, I'd probably be fine. I kind of want to put it. Yeah, I'll put it on B. This is going actually a lot higher than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting most of these to just kind of like drop here in this spot, but these are actually nice places now that I think about them. Then we got Mushishi. So I haven't read all of Mushishi. I've read only a little bit a long time ago, but I remember it mostly being, I'm not even sure if it wasn't just straight up Japan. It probably was, now that I think about it, but it was kind of like this very relaxing place where this kind of like yokai, I think they were. Like the spiritual beings kind of lived and they coexist with humans, and it was all so beautiful and so relaxing. I think this was this would be a perfect place to go if you're having like a rough time and you just kind of want to relax for a week or two. I think Mushishi's World will be, perfect. So I'm gonna put it on S tier. Then we have Naruto. I was never too much interested in the world of Naruto, to be fair. I don't think it feels super empty a lot of the times. I think, yeah, okay, the village of the leaf, I want to say, is okay. I don't know. It's not super appealing to me, but I wouldn't mind going there for a couple of days. I think it's a world where there's not much of a death threat most of the times. There are some of the times, certainly for the majority of Naruto, the manga itself probably was, but if you were there during the time skip, maybe it would be fine. So I'm gonna drop it on B, below Bleach. This kind of like lethal, non-lethal. One Piece. I could just make an entire list of One Piece islands, and if I like to live in them or not, because there's just so many places, and a lot of those places are really fantastical and really beautiful, like Skypiea, Water 7. Whole Cake Island is made of cakes and candy and things like that. Sure, Big Mom is there, is gonna rip your soul apart, but there's just so much to it, and every place is unique and every place is fantastic. There are deadly places, like most of the islands have people that live in them, that were born in them, that exist in them. Sure, some of them have dictators, but for the most part, I think the islands tend to be nicer places. I wouldn't mind spending them a vacation or two in them, and honestly, just a cruise around the world of One Piece would have been like my dream vacation, honestly. I'm gonna put it at the top of S. I think all in all, even though some places can be kind of deadly, all in all, it is the best world to have some nice vacations. I think it's even better than all the worlds like of Astra. So yeah, that's my choice. That's probably gonna be top choice for the rest of this video. But we're gonna move to Pokemon Adventures again. I've read the manga, a little bit of it. I've read, I think, like the first 20 chapters. It's just here just as a placeholder for the entire world of Pokemon, which is like this fantastic world that I think all the kids wanted to be in. If there's like the obvious pick of what is the world that you'd like to live in, Pokemon feels like that obvious choice. It's not deadly, it's very magical, and you get to catch all these cute Pokemon. Now, as a vacation place, I'm going to assume I won't be able to like catch Pokemon myself and, take it with me when I came back. Maybe I would. Maybe I could snag a Mimikyu for my house to be with my cats. That would be nice. But yeah, just games like Pokemon Snap, they really make you feel like this world is fantastic. It's really beautiful. So I think this is gonna be another S tier, and I'm gonna put it below One Piece. I think everyone would want to travel to the Pokemon world. Promised Neverland. Jeez. So Promised Neverland kind of has two places. One of them is the normal world where everything is boring because it is just a normal world. I feel like this is massive spoilers for season 1. So if you haven't seen season 1, first arc, things like that, probably better to skip ahead. But then like everything in the Promised Neverland actual world that we get to see is very much trying to kill all the humans. So I would not like to be in any place of the Promised Neverland world. This is another F completely. I'll put it above Chainsaw Man just because, again, Chainsaw Man has that worst category because everyone's trying to kill you and it's just a normal world. It's not as interesting. Samurai 8. Samurai 8, I feel like the lore of the world was very boring. The characters were very boring, but the concept and, you know, it was very interesting. The mix of, you know, samurai with digital things. It was very interesting to me. It was very appealing, and I wouldn't mind visiting Samurai 8's place or world, to be more specific. I don't care too much, but I wouldn't mind. I want to put it on C. I don't think it's a little world. Just kind of, yeah. I feel like it is a decent place. Because these two I kind of want to see. They're just kind of like deadly. But yeah, Summer Wars. If anyone still remembers, this is another placeholder manga because I've read this manga. This is a spin-off of the movie that I've also seen called Summer Wars, and this is kind of like this digital world, kind of like Digimon. Nothing like Digimon, honestly, but it's a digital world where it's kind of like social media and everything is just kind of like exists in a virtual world. And you know, there's a lot of manga and anime and movies and everything that kind of do that. The Summer Wars felt like the most interesting to me, or one of the most interesting to me, because everything just does feel digital. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, where they go to the internet. I also felt like that movie was kind of appealing. Summer Wars is a bit more serious. Summer Wars is, as the movie, it is a better movie. And I really like the world. It is just digital, so you'd just be kind of like, technically it wouldn't be, I mean, it would be vacations, I guess, but it technically would just like be like spending your vacations playing a game 24 hours. But I've done that, and that's been nice. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A, because yeah. Then we get Villain Saga, which is in the real world, based on real events, kinda. Not 100% sure, but I think it is based on real events. But it's on the Viking era. I would like to visit the world in Villain Saga, or, you know, our past world back then. I also feel like it could be a bit deadly with all the Vikings going around. But it looks kind of appealing to me. I want to put it on C, because it kind of fits the same criteria as these two, where they're nice places. I'm probably gonna die, but I still have some curiosity. But I do have more curiosity to do Dororedoro and Biomega. And then we go to Demon Slayer. I don't know. I never felt too much like I wanted to visit the world of Demon Slayer. Red Light District was fine. It feels very like old Japanese as well, but I feel like there are better options for you know, ancient Japan world scene here. So I'm just gonna put it on D. I feel like I'm not sure if I was gonna die. I don't think not sure how common the demons are in the Demon Slayer world. They should be common enough that there would be a very high risk of death. But yeah, that is the list. And let me know if you enjoy this kind of content. And do let me know in the comments below what's your favorite place in anime or manga as a vacation spot. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you watched it till here, thank you very much, and I'll see you next video.